I should be able to give you back before the exam on Friday. And I will post the sample exam in Blackboard today, so please check Blackboard today. And as we have discussed, the exam will include 25 multiple choice questions, cover chapter 1, 3, and 5. Okay, all multiple choice questions. Each question counts for 4 points. It's open book, open notes exam. You should take your calculator. Okay, don't use your cell phone because we have the opponents ton of cell phones. So if you don't have calculator, borrow from your friend. So take a calculator, and then it is a 1 hour exam. So if you can come here like 5 minutes early, definitely we want to extend of 10 minutes. So let the next class student wait for us. Okay, so it's 1 hour exam. Should be enough for most of the students' time. But anyway, I will post the sample exam today, so you should download and do the sample exam by yourself first. And also the answer is also attached at the end of the document. Okay, any questions or comments? Good. Oh, let's finish chapter 5 at the beginning of today's class. Here's an example we went through on last Friday about how to find the break-even points for different number of machines. And we have a discussion that's okay, after getting a break-even points, how to decide the best choice of how many machines we should buy. So, you can see this is the several picture to demonstrate the different cost function. So the blue line is the fixed cost. No matter how many you produce, quantity Q, fixed cost is a fixed. It's a horizontal line here. But the variable cost is the red line, which is the linear function. So add them together, the total cost function is also a linear function. Total revenue in the blue line, which is straight line. And the break-even point is nothing but the intersection point of these two lines, the total cost line and the total revenue line. We've discussed, right? This is the position that they're equal to each other. Here is the profit line. If you are above the break-even points, you gain positive profit. Otherwise, you have negative profit, which means you continue to lose money. And if we have two different options, we calculate the profit, and that's the intersection point, determine the range, which one is better. For example, when it's less than the intersection point Q, the alternative method A has a lower cost. It's not a cost, has lower profit, which means alternative B is better because the line is above. But if we have the production quantity, capacity requirement Q is larger than this number, then the alternative A is better because it has a higher profits. So that's the meaning of these figures. Clear for everyone? Right? Okay. If we have multiple choice, like 3 choice, as we have discussed on Friday, okay, we have to demonstrate the fixed cost line separately, and then we calculate the break-even point. You can see here why option 1 is always not feasible, or we shouldn't choose option 1, because in this range, one machine, the total revenue is always less than total cost. No matter how much you produce, you will continue to lose money. So it's not a good choice. But 2 machines or 3 machines, there's some range you get positive profits. Then you can choose, and depends on your demand requirements. Okay, and there are some assumptions. If we want to use this cost volume analysis method, the first assumption that we only consider one product, well, like we have seen that, but it can be easily extended to multiple products. Just you add the fixed cost and the variable cost for more than one product. But this example is only one product. Right? We assume everything produced can be sold. This is pretty strong assumption, but you think if our demand forecast is really good, that's pretty close to reality. We can sell almost all the stuff we produce. Variable cost per unit is the same regardless of the volume. Well, it's a strong assumption. Okay, we have discussed by economy of scale. the variable cost should be, ideally, should be in this way. If you remember the curve we draw here, right? The variable cost should be something like that. So when you produce more, your variable cost should decrease, and then you continue to increase your production rates, variable cost increase. We discussed like for 10 minutes about why this curve happen, right? So it's ideally should have something to do with the volume, but here we have this assumption. Fixed cost does not change. Well, still assumption. And the revenue per unit is the same. Even though your product is so popular, you still keep the same selling price. Okay. And the last one is pretty normal. Revenue, basically the sales price exceeds your variable cost per units. Otherwise, you can't get any profits. Here are some strategies we should pay attention to after finish this chapter. Well, flexibility is very important. We have discussed bottleneck management, okay, and we also discuss different strategies if we have to expand our capacity. Yeah, this is the end of chapter 5. Okay. Notes hard, right? Any question, comments? Still remember that we have many questions show in the exam, to chapter 5. When compared to chapter 3, it's not so hard. Okay, well, if we divide our course into 3 modules, personally, I'm not a fan of the module because I know many faculty, when they design the course, they tell students, okay, that is module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. But not, I never divided my course by modules. Well, maybe that's a bad habit to make students get confused. The reason I didn't divide by module because at least for this class, every chapter, like chapter 3, you can't just let focus below to module 1. It will affect until the last chapter of this class. So I don't want you guys to think about, okay, that's the module. But if you really want to divide the module by homework or exam, that's true. That first 3 chapters is module 1, the middle 3 chapters is module 2, and the last 3 chapters is module 3. If you think about the exam, and our exam, good news is not comprehensive. So the final exam will still only cover the last 3 chapters. Okay, so, but if we consider that way, that's the beginning of the module 2, of the beginning for homework 2, the beginning of exam 2, even we haven't finished the exam 1. Right? Chapter 8, location planning. Okay, in this chapter, we identify some reasons why location decision is so important. Right? And we discuss different options for location decision. We'll discuss examples of major factors affect our location decision. And the process for making the decision will be also described. Finally, definitely some models, technicals help us to make our decision. We can talk days by days about different factors we should consider, but finally we need to provide you guys some technical models we can use for location decision. Location decision. So when we talk about location decision, it's talk about, okay, which place, exact location, you want to build a new facility, such as your plants for production, such as your warehouse for distribution, such as your retailer store. Okay, no matter it's in the upstream of the supply chain or downstream, but you have to decide the exact place to build this facility. Okay. Location decision is very important if we consider addition of new facility. Okay, this is pretty good situation. Most likely our business is so good, so we want to expand the new facility. Okay, there are several reasons. Well, first, we want to expand our markets. Right? If we want to expand the market, the best way is to have our brand known by the local people. Right? If we are roots in North Carolina, want to extend our business to South Carolina, the best way is that we have some facility in South Carolina, even just how to say, just a room, okay, the agent's room in some place, but we want our brand be known by the customer in South Carolina. And the second reason can be the growth in demand. Still, we are rooting in Pembroke, but if our business is so good, we want to open the second store, third store, just in Pembroke. There can be another reason, the depletion of basic inputs require relocation. But this is not so convenient, but you think about if you have a supplier originally in Robinson County, and the supplier move away or can't do the business anymore, you need to be close to the new supplier. If you are doing the manufacturing job, then you have to relocate. And the shifts in markets, right? You have to relocate to be closer to your customers. And cost, that's a major reason, especially in the past 20 years, US did a lot of outsourcing because the cost increased a lot. Right? So there's so many different reasons that we have to consider change our location, add a new facility. Some reasons are good, some are not so good, but as long as we want to survive, want to be successful in the business, we have to consider location decision. Right? Okay, so very important because I want to ask you guys why location decision first. Why location decision is so important? Why choosing a location is so important? Bernard?
Because your location, like, basically defines whether your business will be profitable or not. Like, depending on what kind of business you run, like, location is always important. Like, if you run a retail business, you want to have a location to where you get a lot of traffic, like you're coming off a major highway or something like that, and people immediately see your sign and want to come into your business.
That's right. Yeah. Very good example. As Bernard said, if a retailer store, you want to be close to a customer or have enough traffic. Some other reasons why it's important, location decision?
Determine some costs for your business, like if you decide to put your business closer, like out of town instead of in town, you have less taxes, property taxes, stuff like that to pay.
That's right. As Aaron said, good location decision can save you some costs, can be significant cost saving. Right? So if you, that's a trade-off definitely, but it can be a good strategy to save the cost. Any other benefits?
Availability of resources.
Are you talking about the raw material or some other resources?
Raw material.
Raw materials. Yeah. Jonathan, yeah, that is especially true for the manufacturing of plants. You want to be close to the raw material. Okay. Any other reasons why location planning is important?
Even availability of labor.
Labor.
Close to a city instead of just in the
That's
middle
right.
of nowhere.
Yeah, you need to have not just the population, but labor. For example, I was living in Pinehurst before I moved to Fayetteville last year. I mean, many of you are familiar with the Sand Hills area, Pinehurst, Southern Pine. But do you know the average age of the Pinehurst citizens? Give me a guess. You guys know Pinehurst, right?
Yeah.
Right.
65.
No. All estimates, 59. That is pretty close. So the average age of Pinehurst citizens is 59. So we moved in, I was like 30, 31. My wife is 20 something. My daughter is 2 months old. So I joke with my wife, say, you think about the citizen is only like 10,000 people. We almost decreased the average age by 1 year, but because 3 of us moving to Paris, especially my daughter, 2 months old. So, but you think about with the town almost 60 years old, even they have 10,000 people, that's not enough labor for doing your job. Most likely they are not interested at all. They have enough savings, so that's the reason they move to Pinehurst. So when we talk about labor, it's very important, not just the population, but it's the skilled worker. Right? So whether they can handle a job. Even you have enough young people, whether they are well educated, well, for example, if you are also whether they know English or whatever language is required for your job, right? That's very important. Not just look at the population. Because living in Pinehurst, okay, 60. That's one reason I would say we have to move to some other city because it's very safe. The environment is so good, but there's not so many activities. We will have the Halloween very soon, right? The end of next month, right? I believe, right? Halloween. The first Halloween we have in Pinehurst, we put a lot of candles in front of our house. Only one family with us. Waits for 2 hours. Only one family. I think they drive a long way. Because in Pinehurst, at least in that street, I didn't see any kids. Yeah, they're so friendly to me, but there's no kids. Okay. And also, it's pretty boring for my daughter too. So, But anyway, so we have to pay attention to so many different resources to the location design. Another thing I want to mention, generally speaking, why it's so important is that it's very expensive. Once you set up your location, no matter it's a retailer store or full lineup or manufacturing place, it's really expensive and hard for you to move, to relocate. Well, so that's why it's so important for you to make a correct decision, at least a final decision as the first place. So we have discussed a lot of things: flexibility, long-term commitments, hard to move, and a lot of cost functions. Okay, competitive supply chain, raw material. Okay, so our objectives. We definitely need to consider profits and costs and the customer service. It really depends on what position you are in the supply chain. So if we talk about location planning, we can't ignore the supply chain. If you remember the supply chain we have discussed in chapter 1, I need some volunteer to tell me how to feel the player's name in these three places. So what is the upstream position? What's the name of this player in the supply chain? Supplier? Yeah? Great. Supplier. Okay. What's in the middle place? Manufacturer? I just write it in my app, alright? And what is this place? Distributor? Great. And add another position here. This player.
Consumer.
Or maybe retailer. Retailer, okay. And talk about business. Alright, so different position in the supply chain will determine your strategy on location planning. Okay. As we'll ask you guys. We have discussed there's so many factors we should consider about that, right? If you are in the beginning position, like let's talk about these three, okay, not supplier, but if the position is this one, you are the manufacturer. You have to determine the place to build a plant. And then what are the important factors you should think about? Manufacturer. First, do you think we have to be close to customers? Manufacturing? No, right? So this is not so important if you are in the upstream of supply chain. Then, who should be close to manufacturer? Supplier, right? Raw material. Right? And maybe you don't need to be so necessarily close, but as it's convenience, like traffic, right? If you have like highway, like some, I don't know, the railroad, right, to the supply is fine. But you should be convenient for you to transport from supply to you, right? That's very important. Another thing for manufacturing is the cost. Because manufacturing, there's a very labor intensive, usually it's labor intensive industry. You want to have a cheaper labor cost, cheaper raw material. So the cost becomes so important if you are in this position, manufacturing. Okay, let's jump to the retailer. If you think about the retailer store location, what are the important factors before you make any decision you should think about? Retailer store.
Located close to the consumers?
Yeah, definitely. That's the most important. Customer. You are a retailer store. What? If you are living like middle of nowhere, well, who want to shop in your store? So close to customer is very important. What else? Just customers?
I was gonna say how they market the product. What do you think?
Definitely, but Sam, you have good point. But this is a little bit far away from operation parts. Marketing definitely, but for operation parts, is there any factors we should think about? Traffic. Yeah, traffic is very important. Very good, Jojo. So traffic is there. So you may be very close to the customer, but think about if you are in the downtown area, there's no parking place. Right? You have a very fancy restaurant without no parking place in downtown. Well, that can cause big trouble for you. Right? So traffic is all. Another thing is that still you want to be close or convenient, maybe not close to the distributor. If you are in the downtown area, They have a big truck. They can't go to your area. They have the height constraints, whatever reason. You don't have the supply. That can cause a big problem. So you always think about, no matter what position you are in the supply chain, you have the upstream player and downstream. You have to think about it comprehensively when you decide the location. Okay, the last one, distributor. How to determine a distributor? What's an important factor you should think about if you are a distributor?
Close to both the retailer and manufacturer.
It's hard. Brandon, I know this is ideal still. Close both to the manufacturer and the retailer. It's hard. It's really hard. And usually it's not true because manufacturer usually in pretty rural place and retailer in the urban cities or suburban place. So how to deal with that situation? They are far away usually, right? But you are in the middle place. Then
Probably retailer.
Mhm.
You go closer to retailer.
Taylor, yeah, some distributor will use this strategy, but yeah, some will maybe close to manufacturing, right? But what's factor we should consider about this?
Demand.
What's the most important cost for distributor?
Transportation.
Transportation cost. Very good. Then you shouldn't think, okay, just go direct close to manufacturer, direct close to the retailer. You have to calculate transportation cost, which is very complex. You think about the distributor, maybe they have like 5 manufacturers, different brands, okay, shipped to you. You have 100 retailer store, you have to satisfy fulfillment for them. Then you have to build a model to calculate what is to minimize your total transportation costs. So it's not so straightforward, but you get the point, right? It's the transportation cost matters when you decide. And definitely you want to be close to the interstate, something like that, so it'd be easy for your transportation, right? So you can see, for different positions of supply chain, it definitely affects our decision factors, okay? Beginning, middle, end, right? And the new trend is that if you are doing the B business, doesn't matter too much. Many people use their garage to as a warehouse when they are doing e-business, right? So it's pretty convenient. Supply chain, we have also discussed. So we have to determine the number and location of the suppliers, production, facility, warehouse, and distribution center. And there are 2 strategies. One is a centralized distribution system. Another is decentralized distribution systems. It's very easy to understand. Centralized doesn't mean, okay, let's say you have 100 different products, and you have all the 50 states, you have the retailer store customer. But you only have one huge distribution center, which will satisfy all the customers in these 50 states and cover all these 100 products. That's called a centralized distribution system. Well, nowadays it's less popular than the other method, decentralized, which you can understand, like Northeast, South, Middle West, West. We have 4 distribution centers to focus on our regional demand. So that's a decentralized one. Okay, that's a different strategy. Okay, we want to extend some discussion here about the first bullet here. Numbers, location of supplier, and the warehouse distribution center. Think about distribution center. I think everyone here has shopped in Amazon before. Raise your hand if you never shopped in Amazon before. Nobody, right? So you must be very familiar with Amazon. So Amazon, they have a huge demand almost every day. So obviously they can't have the centralized distribution. They have so many distribution centers all over the country. If you just talk about the United States, Amazon have warehouse distribution center in Europe, right? Amazon has distribution center in China, in Korea. Okay, let's just talk about the United States. They have so many different distribution centers in the United States. If you are a CEO with high level decision making Amazon, what place in the United States, roughly you can tell me the states or like something like that, you probably will assess big distribution center in these states or in which area you think consider demand.
California.
Uh-huh.
California.
Why you want to set a big distribution center in California, Frank?
There's so many people.
So many people. We also have so many people in, maybe not in North Carolina, in New York, right? In Massachusetts.
Oh, you gotta choose one?
Yeah. If we want to choose one, there's some distribution center Amazon that's true. They satisfy the demand of all of the country. Even they have several distribution centers, but they still have to satisfy the demand of all the country.
Just one, okay.
Yeah. If you have to set up a distribution center, it's not centralized, but they have like 3 or 5 distribution centers. Is the nationwide distribution center. That means you have to satisfy demand. If lesser, like California distribution center out of stock, you have to satisfy demand for California. Then which state you think by your geography in United States or demographic in United States, which states you think we should set distribution center? Or which states? Huh? Illinois. Why? Kind of middle, right? Middle of nowhere, right? No, middle of nowhere. I came from middle of nowhere, Indiana. Right? Illinois still have Chicago, so it's not middle of nowhere. Good guess, pretty close. Any other candidate? This is a test of the U.S. geography, right? List the 50 states in the U.S. I'm just kidding you. What other can be the potential good candidates?
Texas.
Texas, Bernard. Why Texas is a good candidate for you? Because they're laughing, so they're laughing. Maybe they agree with you. But could you explain why Texas you think is
Because it's a big state.
big states? Yeah, Texas is big state, but compared to other 45 states, still small. Right? You said since Texas is the south, it's really south. It's not North Carolina. It belongs to south, but it's really south. So you travel to
So are we trying to have like
what?
just one?
Yeah.
So if I would do just one, it would be like in one of the square states.
Which state?
You
Still didn't tell me the name.
I don't know what it's called.
You don't know this?
But it's somewhere-
How many states you
but it's somewhere in, like, the
know?
Midwest.
Oklahoma, Kansas, right there, like right in the middle.
Kansas,
West Virginia.
Missouri,
Tennessee.
Yeah, like
Tennessee. That's right. I can tell you
Kentucky.
that's the top 5 distribution center, at least when I was working on this a long time ago, but I would say similar. Tennessee that has a top 3 distribution center of Amazon. So it's one of the top 3 distribution centers in Tennessee.
Okay.
But there's another state they have
Makes you credit.
2 of the top 3
Oh,
distribution centers.
Michigan.
No. Why Michigan is not a good choice? Why Michigan is not
Because
a
of
good
the weather.
Too
Strictly
cold.
because of the weather.
Too cold. No, not because it's too cold.
It's on the border of Canada.
It's too north.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
north, right? It's too close to Canada. If you want to satisfy demand from Canada, it's a good choice. But
so
that's-
Michigan is
What
too
about,
north,
like,
Texas is
what
too
about
south.
Kansas?
I was really thinking,
Ohio?
like, you know, the
Nebraska.
Chrysler.
Nebraska, as far as I know, Nebraska is probably a little bit southwest. Do you think so?
Of what?
It's kind of like in the middle. It's like the heart of the.
Nebraska is not in the middle.
It's North
I look at the Google map. Okay, I came to this country only for 11 years. You guys are raising this country for 20 plus years, right?
It's pretty close.
Kentucky. Kentucky.
That's right. Kentucky. Kentucky, they have 2 of the top 3, and Tennessee has another. You Google that. Okay, that's cheap.
No.
Oh, okay, that's still Google. That's fine. Why Kentucky and Tennessee? Look at the picture. Brandon can show that picture. Tennessee and Kentucky is not exactly in the middle of the United States. If we talk about your exact middle, maybe Missouri, maybe
Yeah.
Kansas, something like that. But why is Tennessee or Kentucky? You think about it.
Because it's close to the eastern shore,
Yeah.
it has enough transportation.
That's right.
flows to
The reason is that our
Large
density of population is not uniform distributed, right? If we talk about the West, it's just California, just this line, California, Portland, and Seattle. Okay, they are pretty dense. But to talk about the mountain area, the density is pretty low. But so still, the major people live in the east area. So Kentucky, Tennessee, they are pretty close to east. Tennessee, you guys know that 5-6 hour driving distance from here. But they are pretty close to east. But you think about consider population, this is almost the center of the United States. If you think about population or demand driven, and that's the reason Amazon have their top distribution center in Kentucky and Tennessee. When you decide that you have to calculate your demand distribution, well, it's maybe related to population, it's maybe not strictly related to population, and determine your distribution center. First, you have to know geography about the United States, at least. Right? No mention that's worldwide geography. But you have Google, like Branko did that. Okay, good discussion. So, And another reason I want to mention why they want to set in the Tennessee and Kentucky is because they have cheap labor costs. Obviously, they can get pretty good labor by the minimum pay or a little bit higher than the minimum wage. Yeah. Anyway, they did it in that way, so the good stuff. And also, they have a very good interstate system in Kentucky and Tennessee. So the traffic is very good. If you go to mountain area, Rocky Mountain, well, you know that you have a big problem on the transportation. Okay, options of a location decision. If you think about the location decision, in general, there's 4 options. The first one, you expand an existing facility. If you have a Walmart store, you can expand it a little bit larger. Right? You can add a new location, but still have the existing one. Well, probably that's a good thing for us, right? So you have new business or demand is higher than before. Sometimes you have to shut down. You have to shut down the current location and move to another by outsourcing, or maybe just because your supplier change, your demand shifts for different region. Last one is always a choice. Don't forget about do nothing. Do nothing is always choice, no matter what decision you want to make. But for location decisions, it definitely is a choice because location decision is so expensive. All the 3 options, the first, second, and third option, they are expensive. So that's why we specify say do nothing is the fourth choice, because do nothing can save a cost and maybe has a better results than investing a lot of money to do 1, 2, or 3. Okay. Global location, right? Nowadays, we're talking about globalization. I don't think we should continue to talk about globalization because it's not a fancy word anymore, right? So it's already globalization. We have, just for this class, we have students from China, Korea, and Germany. And the USC, many students will have a chance to go study abroad. Okay, and I'm not sure whether you guys have heard about that, but probably school business will begin at least propose a study abroad program from next summer. I know now we have a study abroad program that you apply by yourself. You're studying a supervisor is the group study abroad program. I think our dean and other director, they propose to take a group of people, like 10 students, 10 to 15 students, because we have the budget, but we have the assistance for 10 students to go to China next summer. We hope it will be successful this time. So that's a good chance. I think they think the competition will be very fierce to students want to go to China because they have assistantship. So it's pretty cheap. But we'll see. We need to get the official announcements whether this program will be successful for next summer. So nowadays, for the globalization, we have to definitely affect our location decision. For example, there are so many trade agreements. So no matter where you produce your stuff, you still can have some tax benefits. You still can compete pretty well with a local brand. North American free trade agreements. So how many countries are in this belong to these agreements? North American free trade agreements.
3.
3. Okay. Which 3?
Canada, US,
U.S. and
Mexico.
Mexico. That's right. Ideally, theoretically, we will talk about North American continent that include a lot of countries in the Caribbean. But these agreements only include 3 countries. Okay. U.S., Canada, and Mexico. And also general agreements on tariffs and trade. U.S. and China has a trade relationship for so many years. And European Union, as you are so familiar with that, right? So facilitate trade, and the SBU Germany benefits a lot from these agreements because Germany is the leading manufacturing country, as it is in Europe, right? So, and WTO, so it's what does WTO represent?
World Trade Organization.
World Trade Organization. Okay. So talk about WTO. Okay, that's question. No Google. Okay, if you Google, you have it in 1 minute. Just talk about those big countries. So importance of big players, or by GDP, economic, not just by the size of country. When we talk about the big economical parts or country in the world, which country is the last country to join WTO? It's the last country. It's not the first. It's the last country. We're talking about big economical parts. It's not a small country. Which country is the last country to join WTO?
Norway.
Norway. Sensitive. I don't know whether Norway is I think Norway joined pretty early. Maybe I'm wrong. Why you consider Norway?
I don't know. We had this one player that I don't know. They just have a lot of money.
I mean, the Branco, I say last player to join WTO. If they have lots of money, probably they want to join WTO early. But I can Google that. I'm pretty sure Norway joined WTO very early.
Like Singapore
Singapore?
would it be one of the up and coming like BRICS?
Singapore, yeah, I think, but I don't think Singapore is a big player. They are very wealthy. Average GDP income is very wealthy. I think I talk about a really big country. India. Good guess, but India still was the last country to join WTO. Big country. Okay.
From what continent?
No, if I can tell you the continent, then you probably know that.
Brazil.
Brazil, no. Brazil joined early. I think maybe even earlier than China, I forget, but similarly.
Australia.
No, Australia is a Western country. They joined way early to WTO.
Russia.
That's right. Russia is the last big country to join WTO. Which year Russia joined? 2012. So it's not far away. So Russia just joined WTO in 2012, which almost make WTO complete. Now Russia is 156 country join WTO. So you can think about it. We all have about 200 countries in the world. So Russia is 156 country join WTO. So it's make WTO. It's not totally complete, but have all the major players in WTO. So now we have to, WTO is so important. I still remember like 15 years ago when China joined WTO, that's a big change moment for China. Well, that's become the, really open the door to the whole world. Another thing we have to think about is beyond the different agreements is the technology. Well, nowadays we don't have to do the business locally or even on site. We can work at home. We can produce in African, in South American, and then ship to the place we have. We can communicate by different ways, like the conference, or maybe by the apps you guys are familiar with, like name that from like Snapchat, WhatsApp, what else? So many instant messaging apps, right? We don't have to sit together to communicate. So that's change our location decision strategy. Okay, talk about globalization. Since we know that WTO now have more than 160 players. Well, after Russia joined WTO, we have all the major players in this organization. So we can use globalization as the source to benefit from that. There are lots of benefits we can get if we have a global operations, markets. How we can benefit from our location decision for markets? Location planning, where benefits markets. How?
Depends on what you said. What's the question?
The question you can think about, that's a wide range of benefits that's acute to organizations that have global operation. So which means, okay, if you use global location, not just your local location, you extend your facility to some other country, it's where benefits for your market side. Why? If you have some sites in some other country, it's good for your market. Why?
Wider range of people.
Mm-hmm.
A wider range of people.
People?
Well, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, good try. Why market? Should be very straightforward, right? You have your global, or how do you say, foreign sites. Why is good for the market?
For which market?
Yeah, that's a good question. For which market? It didn't say for which market. For your branded market. It's for which market is better. If you have a site in another country, then which markets will benefit?
the market that you hold in the other country.
That's right. Right. If you have like a retailer store, like in Mexico, then your market share definitely hope it will increase because people know your brand. People can know your brand from internet, but people know better about your brand if you have a local site. No matter it's a factory or retailer store, even distribution center, whatever, or even just office. So you can hopefully you can increase the market share for the foreign country globally. Right. Like Jack asked, is which market? You think about nowadays, we don't talk about which market, we talk about our global markets, right? We should think about those which market, our market. Any people can be our customer all over the world. Don't divide it into that just focus here or there. We have the global market. That's most important. Second, cost savings. How can we save costs? By go globally.
Cheaper labor.
Okay, that's traditional answer. Very good, but it's still one of the most important factors. What else?
Distribution.
Distribution. Very good. If you have the demand, a lot of demand in Asia, you should have the facility in Asia. You don't want to ship your stuff build it here to ship to Asia or Europe. What else? Markets we just mentioned, right? Can also save our costs. We don't need a lot of conversion. If you have the representative in that country, in that continent.
You can save taxes.
Very good. That's what we have discussed. Even we have WTO, still you will save a lot of tax if you have the facility, right? Have your employees in that particular country. There's some other things, Jack.
Potential partnerships.
Partnership, good. Yeah, like Apple did that. Very good. All over the world, right? You have partnership, you have a lot of benefits from your partners all over the world. And some other things that you probably also can save the cost, labor cost, but not cheap labor cost. You can find a skilled worker in that specific country. Sometimes you can't find locally. Sometimes globally you have more skilled worker, especially professional, right? So you can do that. Legal and the regulations issues. Well, definitely we have discussed, right? Some countries, they don't allow you to do business if you don't have the facility in that country. Well, you have to open the door. Some can allow you to do that. We are in WTO, but they have tax or other issues. So that's the reason you want to use your local strategy, right? Financial. How can we benefit from finance parts? If we do business or have a location all over the world.
Your American dollar could be worth more in other countries.
Very good. Very good. Usually when I ask these questions, we spend 3 minutes. I give a lot of hints and students go to this way. Well, previous semester. Everyone gets that. Because the currency. Well, you want to have the blankets of different currency. That's very important. The reason is that we talk about 10 or 20 years ago, US dollar is very strong. It's very stable. You don't need to worry about that. You just buy the bond, or return rate is very stable, right? Like many countries, their money have a stable ratio to United States. China did that for 20 years. No matter what is the currency, then you increase, I increase. You decrease, I decrease. It's 1/8 for almost 20 years. 11 years ago, when I come from China to United States, the ratio is 1/8.3. But they changed until I believe 2007 because they had to change because it's underestimated for the Chinese RMB. So they changed it until now it's 1/6. But not China, many developing countries they changed, not mention like German or developing country. So US dollar now is not as stable as before. The same, if you are a company in Europe, in Korea, definitely you want to have blankets of different currencies to hedge your risk. Right? To hedge your risk, so it's very important. For the financial part, you can also benefit from global locations. There's some other benefits. We have talked about transportation costs, right? And also hedge your risk. Think about like political instability. United States is not a problem, but if you have some big investment on the Middle East, can be a problem. You want to hedge your risk, have distributed different locations, right? So that's the benefits of globalization. Definitely, we have discussed in the last chapter. That's a risk of globalization if you choose globally. First, if you want to choose globally, if you have to shut down your local business, then which means you do outsource part of at least, and then you have big pressure on the community from your local governments, and something else is also the risk. Think about you do the business in the Middle East or some countries not so stable, well, it's a problem. similar for the currency, financial part. You can benefit from financial part, but you can also lose money if the fluctuation of their dollars or dollar, right? Like recent Canada and Australia, the value is decreased a lot for their money. So that's you can lose money if you do the business on those countries. So benefits and also risk together. One thing I would suggest you guys is that since you guys are from school business, we have several students coming from different countries here. And for student local here, most of you guys, if you have chance, maybe if you actually study abroad, that will be very great. I studied abroad 11 years ago. And if you don't have chance to study abroad, try to travel to other countries. Because we talk about globalization, maybe you Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp, you have friends all over the world from different backgrounds. That's good, because nowadays we have internet, so we can know each other from any place. But only until you visit this country, this continent, this region, you can really understand, you can really guess the idea of what's the people, what's the region like, what's the economic level. That's true. I also benefit. I travel a lot. Well, 11 years ago, when I was 23, I traveled from China to the United States. And the United States, I live from Minnesota, Twin City, Indiana, Connecticut, close to NYC, and North Carolina. I move a lot. Well, I probably don't want to move now because I have a daughter. I travel a lot. You can see that I teach you guys about geography. I'm very good at geography because when I was a kid, I live in a very small apartment or condo, whatever you call. But we have two maps on the wall. It's water map and the China map. Every day I spend half an hour to look at the map. I like to look at the map. I can remember 150 countries' capital when I was 10 years old. Just a habit. I like to, I know each country's GDP or population. I really like that. But you know that from paper base, it's not enough. Only until you visit the country, you know their culture, know the people. It's very beneficial in the future for you to do the business with them. You can't say, oh, I know that from the Facebook, I know your country has some invest. Only go to that place. I traveled to Europe, not just Europe, I know, Germany is also. I traveled to Spain, Italy, and Portugal last winter. I spent 25 days in these three countries. I think, you also go to that country?
Well, really, Italy, that's where I really want to go.
Oh, yeah, you should go. Yeah. And then the Branco, you know that I'm Inter Milan fan, so I have to go to Milan, so for sure. So yeah, I do watch a soccer game in Inter Milan's Meazza Stadium. But anyway, so only until travel to Italy, Spain, Portugal, I know better about these three countries. I know them because I watched European soccer game for 20 years. I definitely know these three countries. Only go. Japan, our neighbor country, right? It's close to China. We definitely know the history. It's not a good history with Japan, but anyway, we know the history, right, from Second World War. But only until this May I travel to Japan for 1 week, I know this country. And then I changed a little mind about my opinion about Japanese. I really appreciate the way, especially for the customer service. They have the best customer service attitude in the world. Right? This winter, we plan to go to Cancun, to Mexico. Well, only until you travel, you will know that it's very expensive. I won't do that in the next year because I can't afford. But yeah, but what I mean is, if you have a chance, try to travel abroad, make some friends locally with their people, and then it's will beneficial when you do the business in the future with people all over the world. That's just my suggestion. All right, see you guys on Wednesday.